So leather is a note that gets picked up in cigars, and leather's really cool. So we have a fellow member in the community and the club that makes leather goods, and he sent me this beautiful Privada bag holder. Let me show you this. I mean, this thing is really, and it wasn't good enough that he sent me this beautiful Privada bag holder in like a really quality leather, but he also sent me 3 cigars, a Tatuaje 10, a La Carême from Crown Heads, which was one of their best cigars, and a 1926 I forget which one it is. It's the Robusto, which I love that cigar. So these aren't cheap, but they're really quality. And then that tucks in there, and I'm just in love with this. And so I wanted to plug him because I'm using this, and like, this is my jam now. Okay, I love that. You pull that out of your pocket, out of a jean jacket, it just feels cool, man. It feels very Nashville. It's very, you know, American artisan. And so I started talking to this guy. His name's Casey over at Case Leatherworks. You know, I think you can find him at caseleatherworks.com. And so I'm like, hey man, I got this idea. Leather, I want to explore everything about cigars, right? I want to explore particularly everything about cigar tasting notes, and leather is like in almost every cigar or every other cigar, right? Like, if you look at a cigar review, chances are it's probably the most common flavor note. Clark, what would you say? Leather's one of the more common flavor notes in cigars.
100%.
Okay. And so, Johnny, I saw you eyeing this wallet that Casey made for us, and beautiful. So you can have that.
Yoinks.
That's a bonus. Thanks, Casey. All right, so I asked Casey to go to his leather vendors, right, and get them to send me different types of leather so that I can be even more discerning in our tasting notes and tell you, like, what leather. Because I heard someone say to me once, and I thought it was very pretentious, and I didn't know if it, he was like, black leather. I get black leather. I'm like, I mean, leather's leather, but it's not. And so I wanted to go over that, and I want to learn as much about the flavor notes as possible so I know what I'm talking about to the nth degree, because it serves you guys best. So he wrote, this is the color of leather, tobacco. So this is the tobacco. This is the color of this leather is tobacco. I thought it would be very fitting. So that's tobacco color leather. Okay, so one of the first things, and then he said this is what they make, I love this. This is what they make Red Wing boots out of. And it has a strong leather smell, he said. The leather that I smell in actual leather, that's that blue leather you like. Ooh, that's nice. It's like a candied leather. So, okay, here's what we need to know. It's not about the color, it's how it was treated. So he sends me these 2 packs. One of them says, vegetable tanned leather, natural tanning process, tree bark is used to tan. Tanning can take up to 2 months, makes only about 10% of the goods on the market, and the cons are, it takes a lot longer to make. So I'm just gonna pull out 2 samples of this. And so this is the more natural process. Yeah, I mean, it smells like leather. Like, it's nothing, you know, I was hoping for a little bit more diversity. Now that blue one definitely smelled a little bit different. So let me.
Is it the chemical you're smelling?
Yeah, I believe so. The dyes, or just the way that they treat it. Like, if one has to sit for 2 months, it means it's aged more. So this is standard tan leather, chrome tan leather, which is most of what you got. And this is the traditional leather smell. Those are, I really, those are a little more luxurious smelling. You've smelled it on, like, you got into a Bentley that was brand new or something, or
Everybody gets in Bentleys all the time.
I mean, come on. You had to have, been at a car show or something. You got like this makes me realize the leather in my Tesla is either not real or just completely odorless because there was no leather smell. This is that leather smell that you normally get. The other ones smelled more like the upper scale. By the way, I was going to say like a handbag, but most handbags don't actually use leather. They use canvas. A lot of people don't know that. So here they are charging, thousands and thousands of dollars for canvas. I believe Chanel uses leather on that on their boy bag and all that. But whatever, I'm not going to get into that. I know this stuff because my wife loves bags and buys and sells some too. I guess it runs in the family. So, okay, leather. Not much. And I did this last night. I'm like trying to. It's almost cinnamony. And then it just has that hide. But there's not much of a differentiation between the different types of leather. Like, it's really not that big of a difference. One's a little lighter and more luxurious smelling. The other one's a little darker and just more traditional smelling. But they're both very similar. So leather that we get in the cigars isn't quite what I'm smelling here. So, Clark, grab this. Smell that. Is that the leather you get normally in a cigar?
Sometimes, but not very often.
Right.
Usually it's a darker leather. I would call it like a tan or like a bridal leather. And sometimes I get this, but not as often.
Right, but that's what leather smells like. So when we say leather, that's what we're referring to. And you're saying a dark leather. I don't know. Are those fake leather, like the old black belts? Are those fake leather? I don't know.
It's a great question.
Because
it's a texture thing more than anything, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it.
There's a lot to think about with this, but that's real leather, and that's what leather smells like, and that is not the exact taste that I'm talking about when I'm talking about leather. When I'm talking about leather, I'm talking about that, but also like a little more Band-Aidy or peaty.
Yeah, like this is like, I guess I've never really
Correct.
smelled leather and thought like, is this what I taste in cigars? This is really kind of an eye-opening experience. Like years of smoking, my mind's blown right here.
Right, exactly, that's what I'm saying, and that was the experience that I had when I smelled it last night. I was like, this isn't the leather that I'm telling everyone that I'm getting, but it's leather. That's real leather. So I'm gonna have to do a lot more research into the leather that's in my mind, which is the olfactory sense, right? Which I think it's only fair for you to come in here and talk about the olfactory sense. I'm gonna give it up for Clark Thornton, ladies and gentlemen. And Clark, I am not giving you any of my leather goods for free. Although I think I did already. I gave you a card holder, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
What are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking about what just happened, right? Here we are thinking that we're smelling leather in a cigar, and all of us are calling it leather when you're holding real leather in your hand and you're smelling it, and it really isn't the smell that we talked about.
Are any of these other leathers more, like are there different kinds of leather
Pick
here?
up the box.
Is there anything here that smells more cigar-y to you?
No. The blue one smells a little sweeter, like it's candied almost.
This one's closer than that, but definitely
Still
not.
what we're talking about. Now, okay, so put that down for a second.
Yeah.
Right? Think about you're smoking a cigar and you taste leather.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe that? Go more in depth than just leather. Like, what would you describe it as? Is this what is it? When you say I smell leather in this or I taste leather in this, what comes to mind? What object?
What object? One, I'm thinking like a leathery texture, but I guess I don't even know what that means because
Okay,
it's definitely
I'm
not
thinking a leather belt.
leather belt. Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking a thick leather belt, black typically, or brown.
And like I kind of think of like, I don't know, is a baseball glove. I kind of think of that
Yeah,
too.
I think that's leather.
Is that leather too?
That's leather.
That is leather. So,
But then again, I'm not smelling a baseball glove right now. I might change my mind if I
Like
smelled
my
one.
Thursday boots, they smell real. I smell them all the way from up here. When I'm wearing them, I can smell them all the
you
way
can
up.
smell the leather. That's just your feet, you nasty son.
My feet smell like leather? That's amazing.
I don't know.
Jeez, I don't...
That's my point. The things we think smell like leather might not actually... Okay, so would you say that when you taste leather in a cigar that you think of a baseball mitt?
No, I mean, I guess if I had to name an object, I think a belt or like a baseball mitt's closer than that. Do we just need more varieties of leather here, or are we?
Leather jacket, leather couch, leather interior.
Or
That's
we?
leather. So we've replaced this sense of what leather smells like in our brains with what we're getting in the cigar. So
That's
put your arm
weird.
down, put your arm down. This pits.
Oh yeah.
So here's what I want to ask you. How would that come into play with the olfactory system? Because you did a lot of studying on this. So how does this idea that you remember something to smell differently than it actually smells, how would that happen?
I don't know exactly about that, but certainly smell is weird. The weirdest of our senses. It's like the most connected to the reptilian, like very basic part of our brain.
Why is that?
Because it's I don't know why, but
No, it's the only sense. You don't remember. It's the only sense that goes direct.
oh,
as a
that is
direct
correct.
path
Yes.
To the brain.
Yeah. So when it passes through the olfactory bulb, that has a direct center or connection to the memory, emotion, recall centers of the brain. Whereas all the other senses kind of go through. I don't remember what part of the brain it's called, but like the switchboard of the brain where it gets redirected. But
So if you
very
hit yourself
direct
in
path.
the hand with a hammer, right? That pause where you don't always feel it right away.
Right.
That could be a delay in the normal way that things hit the brain and the senses.
And it's just not as directly connected to memory and emotion.
but
There's
smell
further
goes,
steps.
Smell goes right away.
Right away. So that's why when you smell something that you've been smelling a long time, you can be really transported. Like when I smell lavender, I'm instantly back in my grandmother's house as a child. Like especially like a lavender air freshener. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that feeling.
So, okay, so tell me about the olfactory senses and memory.
Yeah, so this is kind of like an interesting thing because this is a dissimilar topic, but memory is very malleable. People think that memories are, like you're like a recording machine that you record everything perfectly that happens. That's not what happens with memory at all. Memories are constantly evolving. Every time you remember a memory, you slightly alter it. You can even have somebody convince you that you have a memory and you remember something, but it never happened, like a completely false memory that you hold to be true. Exactly. So it makes complete sense that when you've got something that's so closely related to memory and emotion like smell, that it would be easy for that to get manipulated now that I'm thinking about it.
Right, and that is called nostalgia, what you just described.
Yes, that's
when
exactly
you manipulate
right.
that, or when it gets manipulated by you even.
So I guess why is it that we, like you and I both, are now smelling leather and saying this is not what we're talking about at all? How did that happen with leather aromas in cigars?
Maybe it's because so many people talk about leather in cigars.
Maybe it's just like, we're just dodo birds. Maybe we're just really saying...
Like it was planted in our head that that's what that is. But that's not what that smells like, is it? It's in the same family, but it's not it. That smells much more aromatic and much more baker spicy and creamy, like it's like cool.
And you know what
when
I
you put
would
it to your nose, it's like cool.
It is, yeah. And what I would always say when people would talk about like there's no way you're tasting leather, I'd say, well, since it's such like you're really smelling cigars, you're not tasting them. It's like when you say you taste leather in a cigar, it's like you're tasting the way leather smells, and not
Correct.
like you're licking
You're not
leather.
chewing leather.
But then when I smell that, I'm still like, nope, that's still not right. That was bullshit. Also.
You want to try to chew a piece?
Yeah, let's go for it. No, I'm fine.
I might do it just to see if it.
For science.
I mean.
Yeah, lick that leather and tell me that smells like your most recent Padron.
No, it tastes just like.
And you get poisoned.
Chewing leather.
I'm gonna post this.
Okay, you're filming? Okay. So here I went in my closet and I found this belt. I've had this belt forever. Nothing. Not really anything. I've had this belt a while too, and let me just try to. Nothing. And those are both confirmed leather. So, Clark, can you get poisoning from eating leather?
No.
Okay. All right. And you checked?
Yes.
Okay,
You
good.
ate it or you chewed
Well, I
it?
chewed it.
Okay.
But we got bitter. Don't do that at home. Okay. Tell me about leather smell. Did you find anything online?
I'm looking right now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're confirming that different leathers smell differently.
Yeah, but not much. I mean, maybe there's a different process, but is it possible we're thinking of fake leather? Smell that chair next to you. That's fake leather. Does that smell more like?
No, definitely not a cigar.
No.
But I mean, here, listen to this. Depending on the refattening substances, dyeing and color chemicals, and many other substances used, the resulting leathers may smell differently. So maybe it's the process of the leather.
Okay, so here's my thing though. There was a bit of the same smell in what you remember through the olfactory senses of smelling of leather, right? Our memory of leather was different than the leather that we have in our hands. How much different? If I had to describe it, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, it would be a bit more peaty, smoky, Band-Aidy. The one I get out of smoking a cigar.
I don't really know what you mean when you say Band-Aidy, but...
Like, just like Ardbeg.
Yeah.
A little bit more of that. The smoky, peaty.
Yeah. And maybe it's like, because that was very fresh, maybe it kind of loses its smell over time when it's worn in. You kind of lose that sharpness and it becomes deep.
I don't know, but the point is we're exploring these things, and that's really important for cigar culture, for cigar reviewing, because if we're not really getting leather, then we need to figure out what we are getting. So.
That band on your hat, is that leather?
No.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's a specific type of leather. Maybe it's fake leather. Who knows? But the leather that we smelled here, which are samples from leather vendors, don't really taste maybe 50% like the regular leather. So, all that being said, this was a quick trip into leather, the different smells of leather, if we're really tasting leather, and a little bit of info on the olfactory senses, and it's proof that you can eat leather and not get sick from it. So I don't know if you get sick, but you won't die. Hashtag weareprivada. Hashtag pursuing cigars. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Oh, one last thing. There is an item here. This is a beautiful card holder. I don't know if anyone uses business cards anymore, but you can, I'm sure, put a credit cards in there. And I'm going to give it away to a lucky commenter below. Share the video, like it. Please get more people on the channel. It'll be awesome to see what we can create here.